Banished from Earth Classic Game Room broadcasts from the intergalactic space arcade on its never-ending mission to review everything. Welcome to Classic Game Room, where I have a very special review for all of you. Today, this is Probotector for the Nintendo Entertainment System, a game that many of you are familiar with, and many of you call Contra. Let's take a look, because it's great. Wait a second, what have you done with my meatheads? Why have they been replaced by Thexter in Probotector from Konami for the Nintendo Entertainment System? Which is Contra, except instead of the oiled-down, muscle-bound mullet sporting meatheads, you play as one or two of the Veritech fighters from Robotech, or Valkyries. Which isn't a bad thing. In fact, I love the box art. I prefer the box art, but I kinda miss that late 80s cheesy style. And so does Mirius Valkyrie, oiled-down machine-gun-toting, bandana-wearing meatheads. Now that's 80s. Robots are timeless, and apparently a lot less offensive. Because this is the version of Contra that Europe was blessed with, and apparently New Zealand, which is where this copy came from. The Contra gameplay remains intact, but it would appear that most of the organic enemies have been replaced by robotic enemies. Because destroying machines doesn't mess up kids nearly as much as killing 8-bit cartoony video game guys. So I'm told. I played Contra as a kid, and look at me now! Look what I've become! A horrible, terrible person. I'm totally fucked in the head because I grew up on Contra instead of Probotector. It's been a while since I've played this game, but I loved Contra as a kid. It was one of my favorite NES games. I beat it several times, and I don't even have it in my collection anymore to compare the two of them, but this one seems easier to me, but maybe I'm just remembering things wrong. See? My brain's damaged from years of Contra. I take no personal accountability for anything else that I've ever done to myself. I'm going to blame video games. Now, there's several things that make Contra, or in this case, Probotector, an extremely memorable side-scrolling action platformer, because back in the day there were a lot of games like this. Most of them are pretty forgettable, but Contra is iconic because it's cool, whether you're playing as a meathead or a robot. Probotector, or Contra, is just insanely cool, with great music, good action, good gameplay, and I think it's one of the better third-party NES games from back in the day. Based on Konami's arcade machine, this one just works really well, and manages to do a lot on the NES. Every time you play Contra, or Probotector, the game's a little bit different, too. While the enemies will attack you from more or less the same spots, it's not always exactly the same like it is in a lot of games. So even seasoned veterans who have memorized every level and musical track will have to be quick on their feet. Make sure to pick up weapon power-ups. I prefer the spread shot for the entire game. And of course, one of the highlights of Probotector, or Contra, is playing two players simultaneously on screen with your friends. I just love this game, and I was really surprised to see Probotector, which I thought looked really cool to begin with, published by Mattel of all people, turned out to be Contra. And, for what it's worth, this is the PAL version of the game, which seems to play just fine on my off-brand NES, the FC Twin. So a huge, enormous Classic Game Room thank you goes all the way to Robert in Auckland, New Zealand. Thank you, Robert, for sending Probotector to the show. I love the box art and the storyline on the back. In order to protect Earth and its people, 2 robots have been created named RD008 and RC011 to destroy the galaxy of Apocalypse. I want to move to the galaxy of Apocalypse. Where is that? Is that near Auckland? I really can't shower this game with enough praise. It's one of my favorite NES games, right up there with Bionic Commando. It's Probotector for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Highly, highly recommended.